What's up, guys? This is Fans and Opinions Wednesdays here, and just gonna shed some thoughts tonight. It was a disappointing Sixers loss. This team has continued to struggle for really 3 years now, and there doesn't seem to be any evidence that this team can compete. So it's tough because the NBA season is so long, each game being 48 minutes. Seeing the Sixers have never won a game, they're always going to be on the bottom line of ESPN. So when you're looking at the highlights, they're always going to kind of shed light and make fun of the situation, making it even worse for Hinkie supporters. And I look at next year, and in my opinion, you got to keep Sam Hinkie. I know a lot of people want to just abolish the plan, and it's very easy to complain with what has been displayed by the 76ers thus far. But the bottom line is that you got to give Sam Hinkie 2 more years. And I think that if the Sixers don't make the playoffs in the next 2 years in a very weak Eastern Conference, then you could decide to get rid of Coach Brett Brown. I think he can head out, and I think that Sam Hinkie then will head out. In 2011, the team that made the playoffs and beat the Bulls because Derrick Rose got hurt and Joakim Noah was also banged up in that series, and then they took an aging Celtics team to 7 games as well, benefited from seeding and those injuries that I just displayed. So if you would have kept that same route, the 76ers would have, again, making the 8th seed of the playoffs, 7th seed, and they would have gotten bounced by the Miami Heats of the world, the Cleveland Cavaliers of today. Because in the NBA, the elite teams are going to win 7-game series. Teams in the 4 and 5 range can win one series, like the Bucks took the Bulls last year to maybe 6 games, but they're not going to win 3 to 4 straight series. And that's why the 76ers are in a different predicament than, say, the Philadelphia Eagles, because in the NFC East of the NFL, you've seen this a lot of times, especially it's going to happen this postseason in the NFL because that's what the forecast is alluding to. You have teams at the top of the league like the Cincinnati Bengals, the Carolina Panthers, and wild cards and lower seeds in the NFL in a 1-game playoff scenario. A 4th seed with a 9-7 divisional winning record that gets to host a playoff game can win 4 games and win a championship. You saw that with the Cardinals that year with Kurt Warner and Fitzgerald and Steve Breston and Anquan Bolden. They got hot at the right time. The Giants, both years they made the Super Bowl, they had a 10-6 and a 9-7 campaign. And most people were like, this Giants team that makes the playoffs right now, they're atrocious. They've been so inconsistent. They're lucky they play in a crappy division. That's the only reason they're in the playoffs. Well, guess what happens? In the NFL, if you get into the playoffs, you get hot and you have talent and suddenly your talent clicks, you can defeat teams that go 13-3 like a Cincinnati, like a Carolina Panthers. Even the Peyton Manning Bronco or Colts teams, were teams that went 13-3 or 14-2 and would lose in the playoffs. But in the NBA, those Peyton Manning Colt teams would be the LeBron James Heat teams. And guess what? In 7-game series in NBA basketball, you're not winning, period. That's what makes the NBA unique. So I look at the 76ers, and next year, they should be able to get, the 1st or 2nd pick in the draft. I think it could make a big difference because what I've seen of college so far this year, I think that Ben Simmons is the clear-cut best player in college basketball. So the Sixers can hopefully get the 1st pick. They're going to be favored in the draft lottery. And then the Lakers, if they finish outside of the 3rd worst team, so they'll get like the 5th or 6th worst record, Sixers will have that pick in their arsenal, 1-6. I would love to get Ben Simmons. Then you could package your sixth pick, and I think that the Sixers have another mid-level pick next year outside of the lottery, like maybe like the 17th pick. So next year the Sixers have their window. They have money. Free agents are on the board, like Harrison Barnes, still a free agent. Danny Green is going to be a free agent. Mike Conley is going to be a free agent. Eric Bledsoe, Brandon Knight. There's teams like the Celtics, Isaiah Thomas. There's teams that have too many point guards, and the Sixers can get guards for that way. So if the Sixers trotted out Ben Simmons next year, I mean, that would require, again, the Sixers to win the draft lottery, which is totally possible. And then you have – a sixth pick in the draft that you could trade or whatnot. You could have, an Eric Bledsoe at point guard. I mean, if you have Bledsoe, Simmons, Jahlil Okafor, and Noel, and you can even use Noel as trade bait, try to get a Bradley Beal or another superstar, next summer is your year. The Sixers can finish sixth in the Eastern Conference and begin building this nucleus and never look back. And that's the way that they're going to have to approach it. But for this season, I mean, it's very hard to, keep your bearings straight because it is embarrassing watching this team play every night. And flat out, I think it's best to ignore the basketball team in general. Even if you're a huge fan, it's very difficult to watch this team, and you're going to be depressed a lot. You know what you're getting into if you watch a 76ers game, but I think that good times are ahead with this franchise. Sam Hinkie, he gets 2 years more. Don't quit on the process and don't make too big of a deal of it, but it's harder said than not. We're all sports fans. We all love watching basketball, especially with college basketball. During these early weekends, these games have been so ugly to watch that you'd love to see a great NBA local product. So that's just my thoughts on the 76ers. I'm excited for the show tomorrow on 6:10 a.m. here, Fans Interference, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with me this Wednesday.